Hello everyone, in this video tutorial I'll be showing you the grafting tools that you could use just to give you a bit of some sort of visual aid in knowing where to place your grafting materials. So to start off, you just place an implant in, make sure that you get the implant in the right position, although this is quite close, not the best project, there's hardly any space, but let's say you do have an exposed implant. You have very limited bone, as you can see. To add a bit of a grafting volume, you just go on to stage 3, prepare for planning, and go down to graft volume. Draw around the area. So to draw around the area, just click on add recipient area, and draw around where you feel you would need some grafting material placed by holding down your left mouse button and letting go of the mouse. You can then adjust the bone material by pulling on globally. So if I selected that, you should see that selected. You can then hover your mouse over the blue grafting material. When you see that little dot, I don't know if you can see the little dot on the lower right, when you see that, that's when you can actually hold down your left mouse button, drag it in, and that will pull it either inside or out, okay, as much as you'd like. And then when you look at the cross-sectional view, you can do the same here. So if you were to hover over the blue line, you can also control how much of an extension or how much you want to bring it in. That way it's very easy to control. You can then measure from that point how much thickness of grafting material you would need, or measure the entire width if that's sufficient for you to place an implant, and continue with your plan in that way. Now, I'm not quite sure what sort of grafting materials you use, but we do have some very new sort of grafting materials that we offer called the O6 range, particularly the O6 Plus, O6 Volumax, and O6 Bone. Now, just to give you a brief introductory, a O6 bone is a 2-in-1 sort of membrane-like graft, also known as a grafting material. It's quite large, but it comes in 3 sizes. You can cut it in chunks. It's kind of like a spongy consistency, and that fills a large area if you need to have a lot of area filled at once. It's not a granule material, so it's quite easy to control. You've got the O6 Volumax, which you can actually kind of treat it like a scaffolding, which I think might be even useful for this. When you fold it, you can fold it up to 4 millimeters, and that is 2-in-1 as well. It's a bone graft plus a membrane, and it ossifies really well. And then you've got the O6 Plus, which is a membrane, but it ossifies. So I think it's a brilliant product. You should definitely look into. We've got a YouTube sort of video in my playlist. If you go into the playlist, it actually shows you more information about the O6 range. But I don't know about you, but I've not come across another membrane that ossifies. So it does prevent degradation. So I do highly recommend that you look into those products. Now, let's say we want to do a bit of a sinus graft, although this is not the particular case for it, but I'm just going to show you what happens when you plan a sinus graft, or how to plan a sinus graft, and what happens when you've got a void in this area that's not exactly clear. Your sinuses are not that clear versus an area where it is clear. So let's place an implant in this region first, although there is a tooth there, but I'm just going to, for argument's sake, just place an implant in. So I'm going to go on to plan implants, create an implant, draw an implant, and I'm just going to extend it into the sinus region. So now that I've extended it to the sinus region, let's just zoom in so we can see what you're looking at. Let's bring this bit down. Okay, so we've got a nice clear sinus region over here, and to add a bit of a sinus volume into this, we would right click onto the implant, click on sinus graft, and you can control the height and diameter of the filling material. Now again, this is just a visual aid. It's a sort of thing for you to have into your projects, not really something you could control through a guide and whatnot, because when you're lifting up the membrane, it's quite a manual procedure. Click on OK, and whatever was filled, whatever was in that dome and underneath fills up, and it actually gives you a measurement of how much CC material you could use. Again, use this as a rough guidance, because on the day you probably would end up doing adjustments manually. That's very different to how it is digitally. So as you can see, it's filled up whatever was in that space below the dome, and it stopped just where the bottom floor of the sinus. Now, if I was to do the same on the other side, where there's clearly an issue, we would draw an implant exactly the same way, and let's say we stop at that point. Now, if you were to try and put a grafting volume on here by right-clicking on the implant and clicking on sinus graft, okay, you can control the height and radius again, or the diameter. Again, don't change the the threshold, but you'll see that you're not actually able to continue any further than that, because it's recognized that there's an obstruction, there's some sort of substance that's interfering, and it's not picking up a sinus sort of cavity where there's air, and it will not allow you to create a sinus grafting sort of simulation on that. So this is very, very handy in this particular case, just to show you the difference, what works and what doesn't work with a sinus graft. And this completes the video tutorial on sinus grafting. So please do have a look at the R6 range, R6 Plus, R6 Volume Max, and R6 Bone. I do have a video tutorial in one of my playlists. Please do have a look at it. It's a fantastic product. I highly recommend having a view on it. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.